This is the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Bill Strickler.
So happy to have you here at the most important time of our lives, a time of great change, but also a time of great opportunity. William Strickler, your thoughts?
Life is all about opportunities, Al. Sometimes you can make them yourself, and other times they just fall in your lap. You got to be ready when the opportunity strikes.
More about American Roundtable at facebook.com/USA Roundtable. Now, Will, you have a quote to share with us from a famous American of great stature. Would you please share it with us?
Yeah, it's Robert Kennedy died about 50 years ago around this time. And even though he was somewhat of an architect of the Vietnam War, he did change his view on things as it got later in the 60s. So it just goes to show you that even though you can think one thing today, it could change. So everybody is capable of change. But his quote that I've often thought is quite great is, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not." So, I mean, to me, anything that we can dream that's good, let's make it happen. And he felt that way, and he was trying to make a change in the late 60s, and unfortunately, he was assassinated by whomever, and that's still up in the air.
It is. And there are many, many theories. However, it doesn't take away from the greatness of the man or the greatness of his words.
And he had a big family, 10 kids, and family was very important to him, and he was for the minority groups and wanted a better life for everyone.
These are excellent words, and we should do much to remember someone who looked ahead and not behind. You have someone who is looking ahead to canceling the recess the Congress is planning to take. I don't know if most of you are aware of this, but Congress gets a month to take off and do whatever they'd like in August. How many people within the sound of our voices gets a month off in the middle of summer, besides teachers? I don't know of too many people.
Well, a month is a long time. They're still getting paid. I'm sure they have holiday leave too. But Mitch McConnell has asked to cancel the August recess, or he actually canceled it. But let's see how that plays out. It's going to be all of August, or like the last time this happened, they took off, they stayed for a week, and then they went on vacation. So let's see if this is just a political ploy, or they're going to stay and get things done, which I think they should, because we do have some serious issues going on in America other than Stormy Daniels and the Mueller investigation.
I think that the American work of the American people is most important to work on, and the challenging times we live require full-time dedication, Bill.
Well,
yes.
All I got to say is, on one of the most famous sports announcers, let's remember him, Howard Cosell, because we do miss his personality. He did have personality. He considered himself arrogant, but he definitely knew how to speak and get his message across.
This is the American Roundtable. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. It's so glad to have you here. We really appreciate your how would we say it, William? We would say your dedication to this broadcast actually warms our hearts and makes us very happy inside. So thank you. And if you enjoy this show, please make sure that you tell the fine folks at Tough TV 38 in Orlando, Florida, and also Tough TV, the national broadcast network. Donald Trump, you mentioned the Mueller investigation, or is it Mueller? I always kind of mess that one up.
Well, it depends if you have the German accent going on or not. So I guess it's Mueller now.
I like Muller's egg noodles mixed with cottage cheese. It was one of my mom's favorite dishes to make back in the old homestead. But enough about that. Let's talk about this Mueller inquiry. One Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, had the following to say: "The inquiry is unconstitutional." He kicked off his morning with a series of tweets. You know how much the president enjoys the tweet. He's talked about tariffs. He spoke about the economy bill. He spoke of the witch hunt against him. But the two that received the most attention, the appointment of the special counsel, is totally unconstitutional. Despite that, we play the game because I, unlike the Democrats, have done nothing wrong! Exclamation point. Your thoughts?
Well, I keep mentioning that if something was amiss, that somehow it would have been leaked already, either from within the White House or without the White House. And there's been nothing. So if Trump's saying that he didn't do anything, there's a good probability at this point, after a year of investigation and nothing has surfaced, that he didn't do anything. So let's see how all this plays out. But, you know, it's kind of like going to a dentist. How long can you sit in the dental chair and have somebody looking in your mouth until you say, hey, look, the party's over. Let's get down to business.
The answer for me is approximately 32 seconds, Bill. I'm so glad you asked.
Glad to hear that. So
I agree.
So, you know, the thing about the pardon, though, this is just something else that people are actually talking about. Why should anybody get pardoned? First, you have to have something on them. They have to be guilty of a crime, and that's just not going to happen. If I saw the evidence by this point, I would say, Al, there's a lot of stuff that I'm seeing here, and I haven't seen any of it. No one's seen it.
However, I will have to quote the American Prospect, who tackled that very subject in a piece no more than a few weeks ago, saying at length why, quote, the special counsel's work is firmly grounded in precedent. It's part of a counter-opinion piece to a May 13th Wall Street Journal op-ed written by Federalist Society Chair Stephen Calabresi that asserted the probe crosses the legal line. We have two different opinions by two very learned men. Who's right and who's wrong?
Well, during when Nixon resigned, there was a memo at the Department of Justice that said, under the fundamental rule that no one may be a judge in his own case, the president cannot pardon himself. So that was the feeling back in 1974, and to me, there was a deal that was made, and we heard that from
I think
Roger Stone.
That was Roger Stone. I think it was also when we
Jesse
interviewed
the Body Ventura.
Yes, and I believe also Dean, I think, also said something similar.
And there was a deal that was made so Nixon would get pardoned by his vice president that became president. I mean, that's something that, you know, we were told with confidential information, but that's what we heard, and I can believe it.
Believe it because you hear it here on the American Roundtable. More information about this broadcast at facebook.com/USA Roundtable.
Welcome back to American Roundtable. So Al, let's speak about something that is very dear to most guys and a lot of women in the United States. Let's talk about NFL football. Recently, the Eagles were invited to go to the White House, and then they were disinvited. And that was basically because even though you hear people say a small delegation of Eagle players were going, only 9 out of the approximately 50 weren't going to go. So most of the team was going to go. But the media played it up so much that Trump pretty much, in my opinion, decided, hey, if these guys don't want to show up and they want to stick with the protest, the American anthem, then no need for them to come. It's my house, and I'm just going to disinvite them.
I have to tell you, though, Bill, that I heard a separate story which put the number of players who were going to attend the White House ceremony at less than 10. So there we have to check the numbers. But the main point is, if you get invited to the White House and you're not on your deathbed, it's probably a showing of honor to attend because it represents the office of president. Doesn't matter who the president is, it's still a wonderful honor that Bill and I will be accorded at some point in the near future and that we are highly looking forward to. Wouldn't you say so, Bill Strickler?
Well, I certainly agree with that, Al. And I will say that coming from the Philadelphia area and being a big Eagles fan myself, I know that the people of Philadelphia are very passionate about their sports teams, but they're more passionate about being patriots and loving the USA. And this is a real conflict for them. And what I'm seeing is there's a lot of fans that are saying, I'm done with the Eagles, I'm done with the NFL. And with 2 new football leagues coming out, professional teams coming out, there's going to be a real possibility that NFL is going to lose a lot of fans and a lot of money.
It really depends upon the success of the marketing of the teams of this new league, which of course is another version of a former league that Vince McMahon put out. If you remember the Extreme Football League of some 16 years ago, otherwise known as the XFL. We shall see, based on the popularity of the teams and the amount of times and with the being able to connect with the fans, that we will be able to ensure either the success or failure of such a league. It's not easy, as you know, to start a league.
Well, the thing about it is there were no rules in place saying that you couldn't take a knee. It wasn't in place in NFL. Now they have a rule. But I think the drama now is going to be everybody wants to be there for the national anthem to see who's kneeling or who's staying in the locker room.
Of course, that creates ratings and more money for the NFL.
More drama.
So it's almost like it's become professional wrestling of its own. That's why I see Mr. McMahon's move as a very smart one.
Well, like Herschel Walker said, they're running a business. He has a fried chicken business in Georgia, and he goes, I'm the boss. They're my employees. I don't want my employees taking a knee or having a political issue because this is the business that I'm running, and I want to be successful.
And another reason why you wouldn't want a man to take a knee in a fried chicken restaurant, he might slip and have a workers' comp claim against the boss.
Of course, Al, you would see that, but my point is, this is a business. They're in the NFL. If they don't like it, if they don't like the rules, then don't play. Go to another league. But even the other leagues have already set up protocol to say there's not going to be anybody taking a knee here. So they are establishing rules, and like I mentioned earlier, the NFL didn't have that, so how can you really get on a player taking a knee? Because it wasn't against the rules at the time. Now it will be against the rules.
I think it's funny, the term take a knee. Where do you take it to? This is Al Spry, and this is the American Roundtable with the incomparable William J. Strickler. We'll be back. The third. We'll be back in a moment.
To everyone out there watching, what kind of job do you have all day? Do you sit at a desk? Do you have a back-breaking job? Because a story's just come out that the more physical your work is, the earlier you're going to be checking out, Al. Tell me a little bit about it.
As if the work wasn't already tough enough, new research is suggesting that men in physically taxing jobs may be at risk of an early demise. The increase in risk can be as high as, get this, 18% beyond that of a typical office worker. Our findings suggest that there are contrasting health outcomes associated with occupational and leisure time physical activity, quoted lead researcher Peter Koenen from the Department of Public and Occupational Health at VU University Medical Center in Amsterdam, Holland. The findings are particularly important because many people are highly active at work, but typically less active during their leisure time. So these men, who are mostly from lower socioeconomic groups, are exposed to unhealthy physical activity at work and only benefit to a lesser extent from the positive health effects of leisure time physical activity.
Well, I hope that, we always look for means to relax, and meditation is a good thing to do. You can find all kind of meditation videos on YouTube or Vimeo, and be conscious of how much stress you're dealing with. And if you're dealing with stress outside and all the physical work, and making sure you put sunscreen on, because people are really getting more and more skin cancer. That the physical work, even though it is good for the most part, the exercise, but extreme exercise over and over again is going to break down your body.
A broken body is a useless body, so it's good to take care of oneself both inwardly and externally. And if someone's driving you crazy, you need to run away. Run away quickly, and run away with speed. Let's take a quick look at this former Navy sailor pardoned by the president, now suing one Barack Obama and one FBI former director Comey. What's the scoop on this, Bill Strickler?
Well, he was a former Navy sailor that took a few pictures in a top secret submarine. Even though the Russians and China already had the plans on it, that he took the pictures. The Navy found out about it. He was prosecuted, and he spent a year in jail, and he was released from the Navy, discharged from the Navy. Now his thing is that how come he's treated so badly and Hillary gets off? And his thought is they didn't prosecute Hillary and she's still walking free, and they wanted to make him a example. And he's going to sue Obama and Comey for the attack on him, but nothing happened to Hillary. And I can understand his feeling on that.
This is very interesting about how he believes that the prosecution was politically motivated in the wake of the Clinton email scandal. I noticed that there really isn't much happening on the Clinton email scandal anymore. We don't hear much about it. I wonder why that is. And it's very interesting.
You have Hillary, you have Pizzagate, you have other worthy news subjects over the last couple years, and the Mueller investigation, and Stormy Daniels have taken up everything on the news, and it's kind of like, I really believe the people are just burnt out on all that. That where's the real substance of the news? And I can see where the sailor had a problem, because he felt that he was treated unfairly under the same law. That if something's top secret, how come he's prosecuted and put in jail and nothing happened to Hillary?
It seems that there's a double standard, my friend. A double standard, I think, exists and will continue to exist until people of like mind say enough is enough.
Don't they say that the Clintons are bulletproof? That no matter what they do, that they get away with whatever? And, like I've said many times, show me the facts. And there's certain things, situations that Bill have gotten into, or Hillary, and nothing has happened.
I do believe, though, that there is ultimate retribution for these types of activities. So time will tell. That's all I can say. But up till now, the Clintons are fairly Teflon coated. Let's take a look at this story about the president. Now, you know that Donald J. Trump is a big fan of tweeting. He tweets like other people breathe. He even has people in his administration tweeting for him like him, because you can only tweet so often.
Well, you know what they say, when you got to tweet, you got to tweet.
So now the president used to be able to block people, but now there was a lawsuit claiming that they were violating the First Amendment rights because he's no longer a private citizen. He's the president of the United States. But they won an First Amendment lawsuit in federal court recently. However, White House social media director Dan Scavino is appealing the ruling that determined the blocking of people who addressed the presidential account was a constitutional violation. Politico reports citing notices filed by 3 Department of Justice officials most recently, though the basis for the appeal was not made clear. I believe that people do have the right to speak with the president. He is, how always, working for the people. To block such people, I believe, is unconstitutional, and I have to agree with the courts.
Well, Trump pretty much, and what I've seen, is this is a direct way for him to communicate with the people without going through any news groups. He can just shoot it one-on-one.
There's nothing wrong with that, but other people should be able to shoot one-on-one back. This is the American Roundtable, bastion of democracy, and we love you. And we hope you follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/USA Roundtable. Until then, I'm Al Spry for Tough TV 38 and the Tough TV Network.
And I'm Bill Strickler.
Reminding you to keep it real.
And keep it tough.